I'm Jake Miller, 37, a mechanic with a small auto shop in Round Rock, Texas, just a hop from Austin's neon sprawl. My life was straightforward: fix cars, crack a cold Shiner Bock, and come home to Sarah, my wife of 10 years. She was my high school sweetheart, the girl who'd laugh at my corny jokes and make our modest ranch house feel like a palace. We weren't rich, but we were solid. Or so I thought. It was a Tuesday in June 2025, the Texas sun still roasting our cul-de-sac at 6 p.m. I got off early, a parts shipment got delayed, another headache for my shop. I pulled my battered F-150 into the driveway, expecting Sarah's silver Honda Civic parked as usual. It was there, but a sharp, bitter smell hit me. Smoke, not the neighbor's barbecue, but something personal, like burning memories. My gut twisted. I grabbed my toolbox from the truck bed, more instinct than necessity, and crept around the side of our house, sticking to the shadows of the cedar fence we'd built together 3 summers ago. The backyard gate creaked as I pushed it open, and there she was, Sarah, kneeling in the grass, her blonde hair loose and tangled, tears streaming down her face. She was tossing photos into a fire pit, flames devouring our wedding album. The one we'd spent hours picking out at a shop in Austin, her in that white lace dress, smiling like I was her whole world. She was whispering a name over and over like a desperate chant. Ethan. Ethan, each syllable hit me like a punch. My heart slammed against my ribs loud enough I thought she'd hear it. Ethan? Who the hell was Ethan? I stepped forward, my work boot snapping a twig. Sarah's head jerked up, her blue eyes locking on mine, wide with panic. Her face went pale as a ghost, like she'd been caught in a lie she couldn't spin. Jake, she gasped, scrambling to her feet, ash smudging her jeans, you're home early. What's this? I growled, my voice low, barely holding back the storm inside me. Who's Ethan? She stammered, brushing her hands together, her fingers trembling. It's nothing, Jake. Just old memories. I was clearing out. But her voice cracked, and she wouldn't meet my eyes. The fire crackled, spitting embers into the dusk, the smell of charred dreams choking the air. I stood there, frozen, knowing my life was about to change forever. That's when I knew something dark was festering in our marriage. Sarah tried to brush it off, kicking dirt over the fire pit like that'd erase what I'd seen. She said she was decluttering, that the album was taking up space. I wasn't born yesterday. The name Ethan wasn't some random ghost, it was a blast from the past. Ethan Carter, my best friend from high school. The guy who'd been my wingman at prom, who'd given a sloppy, heartfelt speech at our wedding, who'd crashed on our couch 3 years ago when his tech startup tanked. He'd moved to Austin after that, chasing some crypto dream, and we'd lost touch. Was that Ethan? I waited till we were inside, sitting at our chipped oak kitchen table, the fire pit still smoldering outside. Sarah was sipping chamomile tea, acting calm, but her hands betrayed her, trembling. Is this about Ethan Carter? I asked, my voice sharp, cutting through the silence. She laughed, a quick, brittle sound that didn't reach her eyes. Ethan? God, Jake, you're paranoid. That was ages ago. He's nothing to us. But her eyes flicked to her phone, face down on the counter, and I caught it. That glance was a spark to my fuse. She was lying, and I knew it like I knew the hum of a bad engine. I let it drop, but my mind was racing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay beside her, her soft breathing a cruel reminder of happier times, and kept seeing her in the firelight, hearing that name. I thought about our first date, 17 years old, splitting greasy tacos at a food truck off South Congress, her laughing so hard she snorted when I got salsa on my shirt. She'd grabbed my hand and said, we're gonna be forever, Jake Miller. I'd believed her. Hell, I'd built my whole life around it. Around 2 a.m., I slipped out of bed and grabbed her phone from the nightstand. It was locked, but the notification screen lit up with a text from we need to meet. Urgent. Don't tell him. No emojis, no context, just those words glowing in the dark. My stomach churned. I wanted to smash the phone, wake her up, demand answers. But I set it down, my hands trembling, and crawled back into bed, staring at the ceiling till dawn. That text was the first crack in a dam about to burst. The next day, I was under a Dodge Ram at the shop, swapping out a busted alternator, but my mind was stuck on Sarah. She'd been off for months, late nights, hushed phone calls, always glued to her laptop. She said it was her marketing job, a remote gig for some startup she never named. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? She was Sarah, the woman who'd stuck by me when the shop nearly folded in 22, who'd brought me coffee at 3 a.m. during tax season? But Ethan's name and that fire changed everything. On my lunch break, I sat in my cluttered office, the smell of oil and metal thick in the air, and logged into our joint bank account from my phone. What I saw hit me like a freight train. $18,000 gone, siphoned off over 4 months to some crypto wallet I'd never heard of. That was our savings, the down payment for the 3-bedroom we'd been eyeing on the edge of Round Rock, with a big enough yard for the kids we talked about. My chest tightened like I couldn't breathe. That night, I waited till Sarah got home. She walked in around 8 p.m., all smiles, carrying a takeout bag from Rudy's barbecue like nothing was wrong. I didn't smile back. "Where's our money, Sarah?" I asked, sliding my phone across the table with the bank statement pulled up. Her face crumpled, the bag slipping from her hands to the counter. "Jake, I can explain," she said, tears welling up. She admitted she'd invested it with Ethan, said he was running a crypto startup, something about a new coin called Eclipse Coin, promising 10x returns. "It's for us, Jake," she said, her voice breaking. "The shop's been struggling and I thought..." "The shop's fine," I snapped, cutting her off. "You didn't think to tell me? That was our money." She looked away, wiping her eyes, and mumbled something about not wanting to stress me out. "I wasn't buying it." "Show me the details," I said. "The wallet, the transactions, everything." She clammed up, said I wouldn't understand crypto, that it was complicated. I was pissed, but worse, I felt like a damn fool. Later, while she was in the shower, I checked her laptop, left open on the couch. She hadn't even logged out. There was an email from Ethan, not even hidden, the wallet's secure. "Don't tell Jake yet. We're almost ready to move." Move? That word burned into my brain like a brand. I wasn't gonna sit around like some chump, twiddling my thumbs while my wife and my old friend played me for a sucker. I called Nate, a buddy from high school who still kept tabs on Ethan through Austin's tech scene. He said Ethan was a regular at a dive bar in East Austin, the Rusty Spur. I was ready to storm over and confront him, but before I could, my phone blew up with a group text from Nate and Tim, my IT guy friend who'd fixed my shop's computers a few times. "Jake, we gotta talk. Now. It's about Sarah." I met them at a diner off I-35, a greasy joint with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tasted like regret. Nate looked uneasy, shifting in his seat, while Tim's face was grim, his laptop bag slung over his shoulder. "Spit it out," I said, my untouched coffee growing cold. Tim slid his phone across the table, opened to a private thread on X. "Found this last night," he said, his voice low. The post was from an anonymous account linking to a profile on a subscription-based platform, ONLIFANCE, though Tim didn't say the name outright. The username was Texas Star with a bio mentioning Round Rock. The preview image, blurred but unmistakable, was Sarah posing in our bedroom wearing lingerie I'd never seen. My stomach dropped to the floor. "No way," I muttered, my voice barely a whisper, but Tim kept going. He'd cross-checked the account's email to Sarah's personal Gmail, cracked through a weak password she'd reused. "She's been active for 6 months, Jake," he said, pulling in at least $15,000, maybe more. Nate chimed in, his voice heavy with guilt. "I saw her with Ethan at a coffee shop last month. They looked too close." I didn't want to say anything, but after Tim found this, he trailed off, unable to meet my eyes. I felt like the diner was spinning, the fluorescent lights buzzing too loud. Sarah, my Sarah, running a secret online gig? And Ethan, my old friend, tangled up in it? I thanked them, my voice hollow, and stumbled to my truck, rage and heartbreak warring inside me. The cul-de-sac smelled of barbecue and betrayal as I drove home, the weight of their words crushing me. But the real storm was just starting to brew. I couldn't wait another second. I drove to the Rusty Spur that night, the Austin skyline flickering like a warning in the distance. The bar was a dive, flickering Lone Star sign buzzing over the door, sticky floors reeking of stale beer, and a mix of tech bros and burnouts nursing their drinks. Ethan was at the bar, all slick in a leather jacket, laughing with a couple of guys in hoodies. I stormed over, my work boots thudding on the wood floor, and grabbed his shoulder, spinning him around. "What's going on with my wife?" I growled, loud enough that the bar went quiet, all eyes on us. Ethan's smirk was like a match to gasoline. "Easy, Jake," he said, sipping his IPA, his voice dripping with condescension. "You're out of your depth, man." His calm, patronizing tone made my blood boil. "You and Sarah," I said, stepping closer, my fists clenched. "The crypto, her side hustle. What's your deal?" His eyes flickered, surprise, maybe a hint of fear. "She told you," he said, then caught himself, his smirk returning. "Look, she's helping me with a project. That's all." "Project?" I shouted, my voice echoing. "You mean Eclipse Coin? Or her secret platform?" The crowd murmured, sensing drama. Ethan's smirk vanished, his face hardening. "You don't know what you're messing with," he hissed, leaning in. "Back off, Jake, or you'll regret it." I saw red. I shoved him hard, and he shoved back, his beer crashing to the floor. We hit the ground, fists flying, bottles shattering around us. I landed a hit to his jaw, but he got me in the ribs and we were still swinging when the bouncer, a mountain of a guy, hauled us both out into the alley. I stumbled to my feet, spitting blood, my knuckles raw. Ethan was dusting off his jacket, still smirking. "You don't get it, do you?" he said, but before I could lunge again, I saw Sarah's Honda peel out of the parking lot across the street. She'd been there, watching the whole damn thing. And then my phone buzzed with a text that turned my world upside down. The text was from Nate. "Check your ring cam footage, man. Last week, 1 a.m. I'm so sorry." My hands were still shaking from the fight, my lips swollen, but I pulled up the Ring app on my phone, standing in that grimy alley with Ethan's taillights fading into the night. The footage was from 6 days ago, timestamped 1:47 a.m. Sarah and Ethan on our front porch, whispering like they were planning a heist. She handed him a flash drive, her movements quick, nervous. Then she leaned in and kissed him, not a peck, but a full-on, movie star kiss, her hands on his face, his arms pulling her close. My stomach lurched and I nearly dropped the phone. I watched it again, then a third time, hoping I'd seen it wrong. I hadn't. Another clip from 2 nights later showed them arguing. Ethan grabbed her arm and she yanked away, her face twisted, not with love, but fear. What the hell was going on? I drove home, the Austin skyline blurring through my anger. The house was dark, the kind of quiet that feels like a trap. Sarah was gone, her purse and laptop missing. On the kitchen counter, under a half-empty bottle of Merlot, was a note in her handwriting. "I'm sorry, Jake. I didn't mean for this." I crumpled it in my fist, thinking about our happier times, our road trip to Galveston, her singing off-key to Springsteen's Thunder Road, the way she'd curl up against me on the couch during a thunderstorm. It all felt like a lie now, a script she'd been reading to keep me hooked. Sorry doesn't fix a life turned into a crime scene. I wasn't letting this go. Sarah wasn't just stepping out, she was stealing, lying, maybe worse. I called Tim, who'd been digging into the crypto wallet from Sarah's transfers. He met me at the shop at midnight, his laptop glowing in the dark office, the smell of motor oil thick around us. "This is bad, Jake," he said, his voice hushed. "That wallet's tied to a rug pull scam, Eclipse Coin. They've moved $250,000, not just your $18,000. And it's linked to a DARPANET leak, something called Project Eclipse." DARPANET? I'd seen whispers about it on X, hacked government servers leaking classified tech projects. Tim showed me a PDF Sarah had downloaded from the leak, partially redacted, detailing Project Eclipse, a blockchain experiment for secure data transfer, supposedly shelved in 23. Ethan's name was listed as a contractor tied to Nexus Dynamics, a shady Austin startup. "Sarah's not just investing," Tim said, his eyes serious. "She's in deep, maybe being coerced." He pulled up an email from Ethan to Sarah. "Nexus is watching. Move the funds by Friday or your side gig goes public." The date was 2 weeks before the fire pit. Another email from an anonymous account was chilling: "Keep quiet or Jake pays the price." My head spun. Was Sarah a victim, trapped in some high-stakes game? Or was she a willing player, stringing me along? I asked Tim to keep digging, but as I left the shop, I heard tires screech outside and my pulse spiked. Something told me I was being watched. I ran outside, gripping a tire iron from the shop. It was Ethan's black Tesla, idling in the lot like he owned the place. I shouted his name, and he floored it, tires squealing. I jumped in my F-150 and gave chase, tearing through Round Rock's quiet streets, past barbecue joints with their neon signs dark, past strip malls and churches preaching forgiveness. Irony's a cruel mistress. My phone rang. Sarah, her voice frantic. "Jake, stop. You don't understand. Please, just come home." I didn't listen. I was done with her lies. Ethan's Tesla swerved into an abandoned lot near the old Dell campus, all weeds and cracked asphalt. I floored it, cutting him off, my truck skidding to a stop in a cloud of dust. He was trapped. Ethan got out, hands up, but that smirk was back, like he knew something I didn't. "You're pathetic, Jake," he said, leaning against his car. "She chose me." I lunged, tire iron raised, ready to cave in that smug face. But Sarah's Honda screeched up, and she jumped out, screaming, "Stop!" She was crying, her mascara running, her hair a mess. "Jake, I messed up, but it's not what you think," she sobbed. She confessed. She'd started the subscription platform 6 months ago, desperate for cash when the shop's revenue dipped. Ethan found out, hacked her account, and blackmailed her into funneling our savings into Eclipse Coin for Nexus Dynamics. "I was trapped," she said. "I didn't want you hurt. I felt like the ground was swallowing me." "You threw away our life for this?" I shouted, my voice echoing in the empty lot. Ethan just laughed, pulling a USB drive from his jacket pocket. "This proves she's telling the truth," he said, tossing it to me like it was a dare. And then he got back in his car, like he knew I wouldn't touch him. Part 9, The Neighbor's Eyes. I drove home, the USB burning a hole in my pocket, Sarah's words ringing in my ears. She was staying at her sister's in Georgetown, begging for a chance to explain. I wasn't ready to face her. The next morning, I was checking the mailbox, still reeling, when Mrs. Delgado, our nosy neighbor, shuffled over. She's a retired schoolteacher, always watering her roses and watching the cul-de-sac like it's her personal soap opera. "Jake," she said, her voice low, glancing around like we were in a spy flick. "I saw something odd last week. Thought you should know." My stomach tightened. "What did you see, Mrs. D?" "That man, fancy car, leather jacket, coming to your house late at night. Sarah let him in. More than once. I didn't want to pry, but—" She trailed off, her eyes full of pity. I forced a smile, thanked her, but inside, I was seething. Ethan, sneaking into my house, while I was asleep or pulling a late shift. I went back to the ring cam footage, digging deeper. Sure enough, there were more clips. Ethan at our door, Sarah letting him in, always after midnight. One clip showed them arguing, her shoving a folder at him grabbing her wrist. It wasn't love, it looked like fear. But fear of what? That question kept me up all night, gnawing at me. I needed more answers. I called Tim, who'd been poking around the dark web for clues. He came to the shop the next day, his laptop loaded with new info. "Sarah's platform is bigger than we thought," he said. "She's got thousands of subscribers, pulling in $20,000 in 6 months. But here's the kicker, Ethan's linked to the account. He's been siphoning off her earnings, routing them through Eclipse Coin." My jaw dropped. "He's stealing from her, too?" Tim nodded, showing me transaction logs he'd hacked. Ethan had access to Sarah's platform, using it to launder money for Nexus. But there was more. A hidden folder on Sarah's old laptop, which I'd kept after she took her new one. Tim cracked it open, revealing photos of us, happy, mixed with spreadsheets tracking Eclipse Coin transfers. One email, from Sarah to Ethan, dated a year ago. "I'll help, but Jake can't know. Promise me." A year ago, before the platform? Had she been planning this from the start? I felt sick, but Tim pointed out another email, from Ethan to Sarah, 3 months back. "Nexus knows about your side gig. Cooperate or they leak it and frame Jake." Was Sarah a mastermind or a pawn? I didn't know anymore. But then a knock at my door late that night made my blood run cold. I opened the door a crack, my old Louisville Slugger hidden behind my back. It was a woman, mid-30s, in a crisp blazer and jeans, her dark hair in a tight bun. She looked like she belonged in a boardroom, not my cul-de-sac. "Jake Miller?" she asked, her voice clipped, professional. "Who's asking?" I said, keeping the door half closed. She handed me a card. "Lydia Chun, investigative journalist, the Austin Chronicle. I'm working on a story about Nexus dynamics," she said. "Your wife's name came up in a tip. Sarah Miller tied to Ethan Carter and a crypto scam. I know about her online venture, and I've seen the DARPANET leak. If you're involved, I can help. If not, you're in danger." I felt like I'd been sucker punched. How did she know about Sarah's platform? Was she legit or working for Nexus? "Why me?" I asked, my grip tightening on the bat. "Your shop's been flagged in Nexus's files," she said, glancing around. "They think you're onto them. Give me what you have, and I'll protect you." I didn't invite her in, but I listened. She knew too much, Eclipse Coin, Project Eclipse, even Mrs. Delgado sightings. I told her I'd think about it and shut the door, my hands sweating. Was Lydia my way out? Or a trap? The next morning, I found a note slipped under my door. Typed, no signature. "Back off or the shop burns." My heart stopped. I checked the ring cam. Nothing, just static from 1 a.m. to 1:15. Like someone had jammed it. Nexus? Ethan? I didn't know, but I wasn't waiting to find out. I called Tim, told him to copy the USB and hide it somewhere safe. Then I drove to Georgetown to Sarah's sister's place. Sarah answered the door, looking like she hadn't slept in days, dark circles under her eyes, her hair in a messy bun. "Jake," she whispered, stepping onto the porch. "I didn't think you'd come." "Tell me the truth," I said, my voice hard. "All of it. Or I'm done." She broke down, tears streaming. She said the platform started as a desperate move, the shop's debts were piling up and she thought it was a quick fix. She swore it was tasteful, just flirty content, but Ethan hacked her account, threatened to leak it unless she helped with Eclipse coin. Nexus was behind it, using the coin to launder money from the DARPANET project. When she tried to back out, they threatened to frame us both, maybe worse. "I thought I was protecting you," she said, her voice raw. I showed her the note. Her face went pale. "That's Nexus," she whispered. "They know you have the USB." But was she telling the truth or spinning another lie? I drove home, Sarah's words echoing in my head. I thought about our vow renewal 5 years ago, under fairy lights in our backyard, her promising to love me forever. I'd rebuilt a '67 Mustang for her as a surprise, and she'd cried when I unveiled it, her arms around me like I was her whole world. Now, those memories clashed with the lies, her kissing Ethan, stealing our savings, running a secret platform. Tim called, saying he'd found more on Nexus, a DARPA contractor, maybe ex-military, tied to a figure called Mr. Gray. The USB had a recording Ethan and Gray discussing cleaning up loose ends. Sarah was mentioned, and so was I. "They're spooked, Jake," Tim said. "That DARPANET leak has them scrambling." I checked Sarah's old laptop again, finding a hidden folder. Photos of us, our engagement, our first apartment, mixed with Eclipse coin spreadsheets. One email from Sarah to Ethan, sent a year ago, "I'll do it, but Jake can't know." Another from Ethan 3 months back, "Nexus will destroy you if you talk. Keep Jake in the dark." Had she been lying from the start, or was she trapped? I was running out of time to decide. And then Ethan showed up uninvited with a new twist. I was in my garage, staring at the USB when Ethan's Tesla pulled into my driveway. I grabbed the tire iron, ready for round 2, but he got out, hands up, no smirk this time. "We need to talk," he said, his voice urgent. "You're in over your head. Give me one reason not to bash your face," and I said, stepping closer. He tossed another USB onto the ground. "That's the real proof," he said. "Nexus set us all up, me, Sarah, you. They're using Eclipse coin to cover their tracks, and we're the fall guys." He said he'd been coerced too, threatened by Mr. Gray, who had ties to DARPA. "Sarah's telling the truth," he said. "She tried to protect you." I didn't trust him, but I picked up the USB. Sarah showed up minutes later, unannounced, her eyes red. "Jake, I swear, I was scared," she said, grabbing my arm. "Nexus threatened to ruin us both. I didn't want this." I looked at her, then at Ethan, 2 USBs in my hands, 2 stories I couldn't untangle. Lydia had texted earlier, saying her story was ready to publish, but she needed my go-ahead. Tim warned Nexus was watching my shop, suspicious cars parked nearby. I was cornered with no clear path. And then a new email from Tim hit my phone, chilling me to the bone. The email was from Tim, found Mr. Gray. DARPA contractor, untouchable. "You're on their list. Decide fast." I stood in my driveway, Sarah pleading, Ethan watching, 2 USBs in my pocket. The second USB had a video, Gray, face blurred, telling Ethan to handle us. Another file showed Nexus funneling millions through Eclipse coin, tied to offshore accounts. If real, it was dynamite. If fake, I was being played. Lydia's story could blow Nexus wide open, maybe save Sarah from jail, but put us in their crosshairs. Going to the cops would mean turning Sarah in, maybe me too. Doing nothing might let Nexus erase us. I thought of our life, 10 years, dreams of kids, her laugh in our kitchen. Ashes now, like that album. "Why, Sarah?" I asked. "I was scared," she whispered. "I thought I was saving us." I don't know if I believe her. "So, YouTube, what would you do? Expose the truth, risk everything? Turn her in, let her pay? Or walk away, let the lies bury us?" Comment below, because I'm still deciding. This is my story, raw and real. Thanks for listening. Hit like, subscribe to Cheating and Chaos, and tell me, would you forgive her, or make her face the consequences? Welcome to my YouTube channel, Cheating and Chaos, a place where you will hear a large number of fascinating and intriguing chronicles about hearts that are completely broken by female betrayal. Let's not drag on for long, let's get straight to the point.